You work hard, save carefully, and try to make all the right money choices, but somehow your savings don't grow, or worse, they seem to shrink. Have you ever felt like financial freedom keeps slipping away no matter how much effort you put in? The real problem might not be how much you earn, but where you're keeping your money. Many of the places we're told are safe, by banks, accountants, or even family, are actually quietly draining our wealth without us realizing it. And the truth is, the longer you leave your money there, the harder it becomes to reach true financial security. If you're over 40 and serious about protecting your future, avoiding costly mistakes, and finally making your money work for you, this video is exactly what you need. Today, I'll uncover 7 places that may look safe but are secretly hurting your finances, and more importantly, I'll show you smarter alternatives that can actually help your wealth grow steadily and securely. Because building real freedom isn't about working harder, it's about putting your money in the right place where it can quietly grow for you. The first place draining your money is traditional savings accounts. At first, they seem safe and responsible, but in reality, they quietly eat away at your wealth. Most big banks pay only about 0.01% to 0.5% interest, while inflation averages around 4%. Do the math. If you keep $10,000 in a savings account for 5 years, you might earn only about $250 in interest, but inflation will steal more than $2,000 of your money's value. That means you're not really saving, you're watching your money shrink over time. To make matters worse, the bank takes your money and lends it out at rates between 8% and 12%, keeping the profits while giving you pennies in return. The good news is there's a simple fix: high-yield savings accounts. These accounts are just as safe, FDIC insured, but pay 4% or more in interest. Banks like Ally, Capital One 360, or Marcus offer these accounts, which help your money stay protected and at least keep up with inflation. Opening one takes only a few minutes online, but the long-term impact on your finances is huge, potentially saving you thousands of dollars over the years. And if you think losing money slowly in a traditional savings account is bad, wait until you see the next so-called safe place, where people unknowingly sabotage their financial future, often without even realizing it. The second place people lose money is by keeping too much cash at home. Many Americans, especially those who've experienced banking problems, still believe storing cash at home is safer in case banks freeze or something goes wrong. On the surface, it seems logical, but here's the truth: cash at home earns nothing and carries huge risks. Money hidden in a closet, under a mattress, or in a safe can be stolen, burned in a fire, damaged by flooding, or simply lost. One unexpected event could wipe out years of savings in an instant. Even if disaster never happens, inflation silently eats away at your money's value. For example, if you've kept $5,000 in cash for 10 years, average inflation of just 3% has reduced its buying power to only about $3,700. That's a $1,300 loss without you ever spending it. It's like leaving a bag of flour open in your pantry: it spoils over time even if no one touches it. According to the Federal Reserve Bank of Boston, Americans keep over $500 billion in cash outside the banking system, and that's $500 billion shrinking in value every day. Unlike money in banks, cash at home earns no interest and isn't FDIC insured. So how much should you really keep? Experts suggest only enough for emergencies, about $500 to $1,000, for things like power outages, ATM issues, or short-term crises. The rest should be placed in safe accounts where it can grow. Real financial security isn't about hiding your money, it's about protecting it wisely while making it work for you. And if you think keeping cash at home is risky, wait until you see the next so-called safe place, which comes with a financial product label but actually locks up your money right when you may need it most. The third place that quietly drains your money is certificates of deposit, or CDs. Banks often recommend them as a safe way to save: guaranteed returns, no risk, but the reality is not as secure as it sounds. When you put your money in a CD, you're essentially lending it to the bank for a fixed time, like 6 months, a year, or even 5 years, in exchange for slightly higher interest than a normal savings account. The problem is you lose access to your money, and if you need it before the term ends, you'll face penalties. For example, Bank of America charges a penalty equal to 90 days of interest on a 12-month CD, which can wipe out a quarter of your earnings. Now think about it, what's the main purpose of an emergency fund? To be available when you need it most. But with a CD, if you face a medical emergency, urgent car repair, or a sudden opportunity, your money is locked away, like a car in the garage with the keys inside. Even worse, most CD rates don't keep up with inflation. In 2023, the average one-year CD rate was about 1.5%, far below inflation, meaning your purchasing power actually shrinks. So after years of waiting, you can end up with less than you started. Are CDs ever useful? Maybe, but only if you're absolutely certain you won't need that money during the set period. For emergency funds or financial flexibility, though, they're more of a trap than a solution, an elegant product dressed up as smart planning. And speaking of financial traps, the next so-called safe place promises both protection and wealth building, but in reality often delivers neither while quietly draining a big chunk of your monthly income for years. The fourth place where people lose money without realizing it is permanent life insurance. You've probably heard the pitch, it protects you and grows your money at the same time, making it sound like two products in one. Policies like whole life, universal life, indexed universal, or variable life are marketed heavily, especially to professionals and business owners who want to build a legacy. But here's the truth most agents don't say up front, these products are complicated on purpose, designed to benefit the seller far more than the buyer. The premiums are much higher than simple term insurance, with part of your payment covering the insurance and the rest going into a cash value account. Sounds good, but in reality, this cash value takes years to grow because of heavy fees in the early years, and even then it usually earns just 2 to 3% returns, far less than you'd get from something simple like index funds. And the worst part? In most cases, that cash value doesn't even go to your family when you die, it stays with the insurance company. Your heirs only receive the death benefit, while the money you've been building for decades disappears into company profits, buried deep in the fine print of a massive contract. So what should you do instead? Follow what most financial experts do, buy term life insurance. It's simple, affordable, and transparent, usually 5 to 10 times cheaper for the same coverage, and companies like Haven Life, Bestow, and Ladder make it easy to apply online. With the savings, you can invest your money yourself in ways you understand and control, giving you both protection and real wealth building without hidden fees or tricks. True financial security doesn't come from confusing products with strings attached, and just like this, our next so-called asset looks valuable on paper but actually drains your wealth year after year. The fifth place where money quietly slips away is vehicles and other depreciating assets. Many people think, at least my car is paid off, it's mine, it's an asset. But here's the truth, a car is not a real asset, at least not in the financial sense. Real assets put money in your pocket, while cars, motorcycles, boats, and RVs take money out every single month through insurance, fuel, maintenance, taxes, and the biggest one, depreciation. According to the American Automobile Association, AAA, the average cost of owning a car is over $9,000 a year, or about $750 every month, gone from your wealth building potential. And it gets worse when people put cars into their estate planning or living trusts, thinking they're protecting their assets. In reality, this can backfire. If your car is owned by your trust and you're involved in an accident, the victim could sue your entire trust, putting all your wealth at risk. That's why financial experts like Dave Ramsey and Susie Orman warn against this mistake. On top of that, cars lose value fast, on average, 40 to 60% in just 5 years. That $35,000 car you bought today will likely be worth closer to $15,000 or less within half a decade. If that money had been invested instead, it could have grown instead of shrinking. Wealthy people understand this. They don't see vehicles as assets but as tools, only useful for transportation, not as investments. A smart financial move is buying reliable used cars, like a 2- or 3-year-old Toyota, Honda, or Mazda, which have already gone through their steepest appreciation. You get years of dependable use while saving thousands, and the money saved can actually grow your wealth. Now, I'd love to hear your experience. Have you been treating your car as an asset? Did you already know vehicles drain wealth like this, or is this new to you? Share your thoughts in the comments, because your story could help someone else avoid this trap. And speaking of financial traps, the next one is even trickier. It looks like smart investing, but can actually undermine your financial security right when you need it most. The sixth place where people quietly lose wealth is using stocks as emergency funds. On paper, it sounds smart. The S&P 500 averages about 10% yearly returns, so why not let your emergency money grow in stocks or ETFs? The problem is that while this looks good in theory, in real life it can wreck your financial stability. Even top firms like Vanguard and Fidelity, who fully support stock investing for retirement, strongly warn against putting your emergency savings there. That's because an emergency fund is not about growth, it's about safety, stability, and quick access. Stocks don't give you any of that. The market is unpredictable and often falls just when you need cash the most. In 2008, the S&P 500 dropped nearly 40%, and in early 2020 it fell over 30% in just weeks. Now imagine your furnace breaks in the middle of winter and you need $3,000. If the market is down 20%, you'd have to sell $3,750 worth of investments just to get the same $3,000, locking in a loss at the worst time. These situations are not rare, they're actually very common, since crises like recessions, pandemics, and global events often cause both job losses and market crashes at the same time. That's why an emergency fund isn't meant to make you rich, it's meant to keep you from falling into debt, high-interest loans, or desperate financial choices during tough times. The better way is simple: keep your emergency savings in safe, liquid accounts like high-yield savings or money market accounts. Many online banks offer solid interest rates, no fees, and instant access when you need it. Aim to cover 3 to 6 months of essential expenses depending on your job and lifestyle. Yes, invest in stocks for long-term goals like retirement, but never with money that's supposed to protect you during a crisis. Real financial security comes from putting the right money in the right place for the right reason. And speaking of reasons that feel right but drain you financially, the last wealth trap is one that often comes from good intentions, but ends up hurting both your money and your relationships. The seventh place where money quietly slips away is loans to family and friends. On the surface, it feels noble, helping someone you care about with a little boost for their business or covering them until they get back on their feet. But the truth is, when you mix money and relationships without clear rules, you often end up losing both. These loans are rarely real investments, they're more like donations disguised as loans, which almost always lead to disappointment. Statistics show nearly half of Americans who lend money to loved ones experience negative results, losing their money, damaging the relationship, or both. Without a written agreement, there's no repayment schedule, no contract, and no protection, which often leaves tension hanging at family gatherings or breaks friendships entirely. By the time you're past 40, your money should be working for your security and independence, not putting you at risk because of someone else's financial struggles. Experts like Amanda Clayman warn this situation can create a triple loss: you lose money, the relationship suffers, and the other person never learns true financial responsibility. A smarter way is to either give money as a gift with no expectation of repayment or, if you do want to lend, treat it like a business deal with a contract and clear repayment terms using simple tools and services to document everything. Your financial freedom should never depend on someone else's choices, no matter how close they are to you. As Ramit Sethi says, you must secure your own financial oxygen mask first before helping others. These 7 so-called safe places, from vehicles and bad investments to emotional loans, might actually be draining your wealth right now. Taking the time to identify and fix these traps can protect your future and give you peace of mind. Now, I'd love to hear from you. Which of these financial traps surprised you the most, and which one do you plan to fix first? Share your thoughts in the comments. I read them all, and your story could help someone else avoid the same mistake. If you found this video useful, be sure to like, subscribe and turn on notifications to not miss our future uploads. See you in the next video.